In today's video, we are going to walk through another case study where we answer the question, how do I retire before 62 if I'm 60 years old with $600,000 in savings? These are the exact scenarios we see day in and day out at our financial planning firm, and the process I'm going to take you through today is the same one we have used to help hundreds of clients optimize their retirement. If you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Julia, Certified Financial Planner and Managing Director at URS Advisory. Understanding if you can afford to retire is a challenge at the best of times. With the fear of running out of money, retirement can feel like a confusing nightmare. Using this case study today, this is the exact problem we are going to help solve. I will not only walk through whether someone age 60 with $600,000 in savings can retire by 62, but I will walk you through the exact thought process so that you can apply it to your own situation. With that being said, let me introduce you to Jim and Jennifer Smith, a hypothetical couple. They are Florida residents, both 60 years old, and they want to know if they can retire next year at age 61. Before we can analyze that question, we need to establish a baseline or a foundation of information on Jim and Jennifer so that we can test it against different scenarios, a bear market upon retirement, a long lifespan, long-term care events, etc. Here is the basic overview of their investable assets. This does not include their home or other tangible assets, just their liquid ones. This is because in retirement, your liquid assets are what actually drives your cash flow. Okay, so they have a high yield savings account worth $50,000 and a jointly owned brokerage account worth $197,000. The majority of their investable assets are in Jim's traditional 401k, which is worth $350,000. Now we're going to move on to our flagship software, eMoney, to show you exactly how we would analyze Jim and Jennifer's situation. Here's their baseline. Jim and Jennifer, 60 years old, and we're going to use a life expectancy of 95 years old. They have two kids, Derek and Timothy, 28 and 26. Their goal is to be able to slightly enhance their lifestyle at $65,000 per year, or just over $5,400 per month. This is up from the $60,000 that they're spending now. You'll see here that under Leave to Heirs, it says $0. But that doesn't mean that Jim and Jennifer want to leave nothing to their kids. It just means that they're going to leave whatever's left to their kids. Like, they're not going to downgrade their lifestyle now just to leave their kids an inheritance. And we see this a lot with our clients. Under net worth, we can see their liquid investable assets that we reviewed earlier, as well as the value of their home at $350,000. They were able to pay off their mortgage earlier this year, so they have no debt, which is awesome. This brings their total net worth to just over $950,000. They want to work the rest of this year and a full calendar year in 2025, so Jim will earn $100,000 per year, and Jennifer will earn $25,000 per year because she works part-time. Below, we have their full retirement age, or age 67, Social Security benefits. We have them waiting until then in their baseline scenario, but we will test this against taking it early at age 62, using a split strategy, having Jim wait until 70 and Jen to 67, and I think one other scenario to see when is the best time for them to file if they want to retire next year. Under expenses and taxes, we see their current expenses are $60,000, and again, they want to spend that extra $5,000 per year, bringing their total annual retirement spend in today's dollars to $65,000, which is just over $5,400 per month. This will be spent between now and their advanced age, or age 85. Recognizing an advanced age reduced spend is really important because there comes a point where you just can't do what you did when you first retired, and this is typically around age 80 to 85 years old. This is otherwise known as your no-go years, where expenses typically reduce to 70% of your early retirement spend, which is $45,000 for them in today's dollars. The software will inflate these expenses at 3% per year, and it will also account for federal and state tax, but since Jim and Jennifer live in Florida, it will only calculate federal tax. Under savings and contributions, we see that Jim is contributing 10% of his income to his 401k and is receiving an employer match of 4% of his total compensation. Under protection, Jim has a 30-year term life policy for $250,000 that ends in 8 years. This was originally taken out to pay for the mortgage if he died early, and that premium is accounted for under their annual spend. We're going to run several Monte Carlo analyses to determine if they are able to retire at the end of next year as is, and if not, what they need to do to get there. A Monte Carlo analysis is the best way to test the success of a financial plan. Simply put, the computer takes 1,000 different stock market scenarios between now and Jim and Jennifer's life expectancy. A third of these scenarios use above average stock market performance, a third use average performance, and the final third uses below average stock market performance. The computer then takes your baseline of information, or everything we just typed into the software, and runs it against all 1,000 of these stock market outcomes, giving us a percentage of likelihood that you will make it to your life expectancy without running out of money. We're looking for a Monte Carlo score of 85% or higher, but before we do this, we need to run an analysis on their current investments to see what they stand to lose in a major bear market, because I'm going to use that scenario as a stress test to run in the Monte Carlo analysis. Okay, here we are in Rebalanced, and this is software that can quantify how much risk a client is taking so that we can see how vulnerable they are to the sequence of returns risk, which I explain in detail in my bucketing video. Essentially, we want to make sure that Jim and Jennifer can withstand a major bear market at the beginning of their retirement so they don't run out of money in their 80s. Rebalanced scores portfolios from 1 to 100, 1 being cash, CDs, fixed annuities, basically investments that can't lose value. The S&P 500 scores a 73, and Bitcoin, or a very volatile individual stock, would score 100. We can see that their overall portfolio scores a 69 out of 100, which is just about as aggressive as the S&P 500 index. Their asset class breakdown is 75% stock, 25% bond. You can also see here that each separate account has its own risk score. Under their overall risk score, you can see that their average annual return is 8.19% per year. This is great information, but the real question is, with this exact investment allocation, what do they stand to lose if we go into a recession next year or the year right before they retire? Under stress test, we can see several scenarios and their outcomes, but I want to focus on the third scenario, the if a financial crisis were to happen again. This models what occurred between October 15th of 2007 and March 2nd of 2009, where the S&P 500 lost 53.1% of its value. If that occurred again, Jim and Jennifer would lose 47.9%, or nearly half of their nest egg. This information is crucial because we need to ensure that they can succeed even in the worst case scenario. Okay, with that information, let's go back to our flagship software and start running some Monte Carlo analysis to see how they fare. Again, we're looking for an 85% chance of success or higher. You can see the percentage of success down here and the total portfolio assets left over here. And now it's time to stress test. We can see here that if they live to age 95 at their desired expenses and there's no major bear market upon retirement, they have a 98% chance of success. This means that 980 of the 1,000 stock market scenarios were successful. That's not my concern though, as most of our clients will be fine if they can avoid a recession in their first 5 years of retirement. We need to make sure that Jim and Jennifer can survive that. All right, so if they do lose 47% next year, their chances of success go from 98% all the way down to 57%. This is again due to the sequence of returns risk. This tells us that if they want to retire now, they need to lower the risk or the stock position of their portfolio, which we'll get into soon. However, if they do not want to reduce risk, in order to ensure they succeed, they will need to reduce their retirement spending from $65,000 in today's dollars down to $59,000 in today's dollars, which means they have to cut their spending by about $500 per month. The risk may not be worth the reward here. The first thing we're going to do to help them retire at 61 is reduce the risk in their portfolio. We bucket their money and we find that the ideal investment allocation for them right now is 55% stock and 45% split between a high yield money market fund and a fixed annuity. With this allocation and these specific holdings, their average annual return reduces to 6.93%. Instead of losing $264,000 in a major bear market, they would lose 34.2% or $188,000. Believe it or not, this makes a huge difference in their ability to retire, their chances of success, and it gives them the cash they need to cover the first 5 years of retirement without having to dip into the growth portion of their portfolio. Okay, back to the Monte Carlo analysis to test this portfolio rebalance. So even with the reduced average annual return, this rebalance increases their chances of success from 57% here to 79% here, which means that they're only, 6% away from full confidence. We can see here that if the rebalance was all they did, they would only need to reduce their retirement annual spend from $65,000 a year to $63,000 a year, or by about $167 per month. Okay, now let's play with Social Security to see which age they should pull their benefits. As a reminder, the base scenario has them both pulling at full retirement age or age 67. But what if they instead both took Social Security early at age 62? We can see here that their chances of success would reduce by 14% down to 65%. So that is not the way to go. Now, what about if Jim took his benefit at 62 and Jen waited until 67? This looks better, but still not as good as if they both waited until age 67. Now let's try a split strategy. This means that Jim will delay his benefit until age 70 and Jen will take her benefit at age 62. We can see that this strategy is more advantageous than either of them filing early, but it's still not as helpful as them both just waiting until age 67. Lastly, let's look at Jim delaying until 70 and Jen filing at full retirement age or age 67, and we see that this is not as helpful either. So now we know that the best time for Jim and Jennifer to file is at their full retirement age or age 67. Now, long-term care is a different story altogether. In the long-term care scenario where they both need care, I'm going to model selling their primary residence at age 85 when they enter the home, as this is what the lion's share of folks do to help cover the cost of long-term care. We can see that even with this sale of the home, their Monte Carlo chance of success is still only 39%. Honestly, when your net worth is between $500,000 and $1 million, being able to self-insure if long-term care is needed for the average length of time, especially for two people, is very, very difficult. So Jim and Jennifer are going to have to weigh what's most important to them and also speak with an estate planning attorney to see if there's anything else that they can do. In summary, Jim and Jennifer have 2 action steps to complete in order to retire before 62 with their $600,000 saved, barring any long-term care events. First, they need to reduce the risk in their portfolio by bucketing their money. And secondly, they need to find a way to reduce their retirement annual spend by $2,000 a year or just $167 per month. If they do these 2 things, they can retire comfortably at age 61. Now you know the exact process to follow when you decide to retire. However, there are going to be several differences that come up in your specific situation that I can't cover in this short video. So if you want a team of professionals to analyze your situation and create an optimal plan completely tailored to you, click the first link in the description. It will take you to a page where you can book a completely free consultation with us where we can begin to help you build the retirement of your dreams.